Okay. Is everybody ready?
Does somebody have an extra pencil or something?
Yes, ma'am. Absolutely.
I don't want to have to go back out of the car.
No, you're fine. You're fine.
Well, thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
All right, so we'll go ahead and call the meeting to order. If you can rise, if everybody just please rise for an invocation. And we don't have a flag in here, so we'll skip the pledge this morning. You just bow your heads for a moment of silence. Amen. Oh. Doesn't look like we are going to have any citizen comments. Obviously, this is the first meeting, so we'll jump down to item 5, which is consideration and action. This is our first meeting. So normally, I won't be chairing these meetings. I'm only starting this off because this is our first meeting. So it is going to be up to you guys to elect who your officers are going to be. You need to elect a chairperson and a vice chair amongst yourselves. But before we do any of that, the very first thing we have to do is administer the oath of office to each of you. So I'm going to let Mindy take over and take care of administering the oath of office to you. Yeah, you can do them all at once.
Okay. Everybody will raise your right hand. Just repeat after me. I state your name. Do solemnly swear or affirm that I will faithfully execute the duties of the office of Everman Charter Review Commission of the state of Texas and will do the best of my ability to preserve, protect, and defend the Constitution and laws of the United States and of this state. So help me God. Congratulations, guys.
Congratulations, commissioners. You could have thrown a little more enthusiasm in here.
Just, your name is Janet Ward. Okay, nice to meet you. Sorry about the whole phone mix up. Then we have Bobby Montgomery, Judy Greason, all right, Andy Booth.
Yes.
Okay. Judy Graham.
No, that's right. Yes.
Okay, got it. Janet Ward, got it. Okay, I should make sure that I got you
too.
We are.
Yeah.
So Sophia is the only one?
Yeah.
All right, so first order of business is we have to elect a chairperson. And that is up to you on who you would like to nominate to be the chair of this commission. Now, I don't want anybody to panic. We're gonna help you through all of this and we'll guide you through all of this. The attorney's not here today, but as we get more in depth in the charter process, she'll be here and we're here as a resource for you. So I don't want you to feel like anybody would be overwhelmed, but anybody who would be comfortable with chairing this committee, we would just entertain nominations now.
I'd recommend someone that's already been on it before.
I know Ms. Judy down here has.
I will do it, okay.
Okay.
I've been on the committee.
So I need somebody to make a nomination to nominate Judy.
All right, I'll make a nomination to nominate Judy Graham.
Okay.
Thanks, Judy Greason.
And then we need a second.
Second.
Okay. And then Mindy will poll you.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, motion carried.
All right, Miss Judy. So now it's your show. So if you want to entertain a motion to nominate a vice chair,
Already?
the vice chair would serve in your place in your absence.
Okay, is there any nominations for the vice chair in this committee?
I'll nominate Andy. second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carried.
Congratulations or condolences, I'm not sure which. All right, so we'll jump down to item 6, discussion items. So I put several documents in front of you. I don't want to overwhelm anybody. These are more for your reference than anything. The first one is just a letter, kind of welcoming you and kind of explaining what your role is. So the charter is truly the city's most sacred document. It's our founding document. It's in comparison to the national level, it's our Declaration of Independence, it's our Bill of Rights. Yes.
It's the whole Billy Whack.
That's right. So it certainly is a very, very important document. It can only be amended by vote of the citizens. So the only changes that will actually take place will have to go to vote. So any recommendations that come out of this commission will go on the ballot, and the voters for the city would have to choose whether or not to adopt those changes. It's completely up to them.
That vote won't be until like next May, will it?
It'll likely be in May, correct? Yeah, there's no way to get this done before November.
Right, yeah,
Correct.
exactly.
Yeah, so it would be in the May election. We will have, I think, one other item on the ballot that goes in May, and I think is that our street improvement tax is up for renewal, so that'll also be on the ballot here in May as well. So it is a pretty important role. It's something not to take lightly, but it's certainly something to think about, and we're here to be a soundboard to answer any of your questions or get any information that you might need to be able to serve on the role. The first packet I gave you, it's got the city seal on the front here. At the top, it says City of Everman, City Council, Boards, Commissions, and Committees, Rules and Procedures. This is really just a guidebook on how we conduct our meetings, pretty much what a motion is, how motions have to have a second in order to be heard, how voting works. It talks about, what a motion to table is. All the rules of conduct are all contained in here. I'm not gonna go through this with you. I'm not gonna waste your time. You can, many of our council members and board members just kind of hold on to it in their back pocket if they have a question or think there might be an item of contention that comes up. You can certainly reference this on how to do that. Fortunately, we don't have much contention here, so it's not something that has to get referenced a whole lot, which I'm thankful of. But if for any reason you have any questions about the rules, on how boards are governed, that's what this document is. The next document is a copy of our home rule charter. This charter was last amended in January of 2020. The voters, it was taken to vote in November during the general election of 2019. And the amendments were enacted in January of 2020. In this case, it would be voted on in the May election, so we would designate a date in which the amendments would take place. But we'll work with the attorney on wording all that. We're gonna break this up into sections. What we're gonna do today is, obviously, unless you've done some homework, you're probably not too familiar, except for maybe Miss Judy down here, our chairperson. You're probably not too familiar with our charter. So it would be unfair to bring you in here today and say, what changes are you proposing to make to our charter if you're not familiar with it? So we kind of wanted to give you some study time and then answer any questions. So this is a copy of our current charter. Behind that is a copy of the last changes that were made. And this one I do want to go with you a little bit, just so you have a little bit of history about the last set of amendments. Chairperson, this will be a little bit of a recap for you as you served on this committee previously. But our EDC director, Mike Nicoletti, he was the previous staff member that oversaw and worked with the Charter Commission. Vicki Hutchison, Judy Graham, Pink Barnett, Patsy Malone, and James Stevenson all served on the prior review commission. Because Mike did such a wonderful job, I wasn't going to replicate his work, so I didn't put together a separate presentation here. He did a really good one, so we're going to keep with that. As you can see, 1912, voters of Texas adopted a home rule amendment to the state constitution, which allowed us to adopt a home rule charter for the city. In 1945, our charter was officially approved by the state. 1986, we adopted our first home rule charter, creating a council manager form of government. So there's two forms of government in municipal government, a home rule and then a general law. General law, typically the mayor serves as the city administrator and has a lot of authority and management of personnel. In a home rule charter, it's a council manager form of government. So the council hires a manager, which is me, the city manager, to oversee all of the functions within the government. Populations of more than 5,000 are a home rule charter. Populations of less than 5,000 are general. So typically your smaller cities are general law where the mayor serves as the administrator. Since then, the charter has been amended now 4 times, with the last one being in 2020. Under state law, we cannot amend the charter more than every 2 years. Typically, most cities look at this about a period of every 5 to 7 years to see if there's any changes. We may go through this charter and you may not have any recommended changes. We may not do anything with this. We may go through this charter and you have 30 changes you would like to propose. Completely up to you on how we proceed forward, but we'll go through it.
But ultimately, the city gets to vote, the residents of the city get to vote for it. Just because we make the suggestions doesn't mean that we have that power to do that.
Correct, yeah, so your role on this commission is you're tasked with reviewing the charter and making any recommended proposals to the council. The council would approve those proposals and they would turn into, they'd be prepared into ballot language, which ultimately goes before the voters to approve. All right. So if you turn to the page at the top, it says contents of home rule charters. The charter details our form of government, which in our case is a home rule charter. It's a council manager form of government. Details about the governing body, such as size, qualifications of council members, terms, term limits, method of electing officials, compensation of those officials, how we handle vacancies and powers of the mayor, etc., are all contained within our charter. The selection process of administrative personnel, which is solely me now, because previously, before the last charter amendments, it used to be the city manager and the city secretary were appointed by the council. Now it's just the city manager, the city secretary actually reports to the city manager now after the last amendment. Publication and passage of ordinances. So how, when we have an ordinance that comes before council, how those are handled and what publication requirements are there for the residents. Creation of boards and commissions, governs annexation, municipal finances and issuance of debt, personnel functions, conflicts of interest and ethical matters, elections, initiatives, referendums and recalls, franchises, as well as planning and zoning. So many of these things are all contained within the charter and how they're governed. So last time we had several different changes that came from the charter amendment. First off, issue terms of offices. The current charter provisions at the time provided for 2-year terms. The Charter Commission at that time actually elected to change it from 2-year terms to 4-year terms, being staggered. Previously, they were concurrent. One of the downfalls to that the Charter Review Commission proposed was that every 2 years, you could have a potentially entirely new city council. Well, when an entirely new form of government comes in, you can have a lot of impact and a lot of changes all at one time. They wanted to soften that a little bit and do 4-year terms staggered. So we still have elections every 2 years, but staggered terms. Compensation was increased. So the mayor previously was receiving $100 per month, and city council members were receiving $50 per month. The Charter Review Commission changed that. The mayor now receives, I believe it's $500 a month, and council members receive $100 a month. Is that correct? Yes. One of the other changes that I just told you about, city council, or the Charter Review Commission recommended that the city manager have supervision over the city secretary rather than the council. The reason for that was because the city manager and the city secretary are here together all day, every day. Whereas the council really only gets to see and work closely with the city secretary once or twice a month. So it provided some better systems overall, some better feedback. It's not really fair as an employee if you only get to see your boss once or twice a month. How are you supposed to improve your performance and make sure you're keeping your boss happy? So it allows her some immediate feedback, and I think it's worked out pretty good. Of course, I don't know what the city secretary's opinion of it is, but
It's worked out very well.
that's been a good change. It talked about the requirements. They looked at the requirements to serve on a board or commission. And then of course, there's always what we call technical amendments. Technical amendments are where if we have something within our charter, the state law changes every cycle, every legislative update. There's new state laws that come out. And sometimes they'll change a law which makes our charter inconsistent with state law. And we would call that a technical update, meaning we have to update our charter in order to be consistent with what state law is. Our city attorney takes care of all that for you. She'll review the charter and make sure that there's nothing in the charter that would be inconsistent with the state. If there is something that's inconsistent with state law, she would write a technical amendment for you to review and then approve to be recommended on the ballot. So you don't have to worry about technical amendments so much. We're gonna skip over their schedule. We're gonna talk about what schedule would work best for you guys, so we'll skip over that schedule. The rest of this just really talks about the different issues that Mike and city staff brought before the Charter Review Commission, and ultimately presented them all. Back to page. You jump back to page 22, at the top it says summary of proposed technical amendments and proposed ballot language. This would be the final product once we're done working on everything. We put together a summary of all the proposed technical amendments. You can kind of read through what these different propositions were. So you kind of have an understanding of how the change takes place, the ballot language. And I'm not gonna read these for you or with you. You can certainly go through. We've talked about a few of them, some of the different changes that took place. But hopefully that presentation from the last cycle kind of gives you an idea of what this process is, what it consists of, and obviously your feedback on this. Does anybody have any questions so far? Okay. So, lots of reading material. I think the most important reading material out of all this stack is really the charter itself, just so you have an understanding of the charter and how it works. I want to encourage you to be inquisitive. Don't hesitate to reach out to Mindy or me. And if you have a question about how something works, if you want to know how other cities have done things, we're happy to poll other cities for you, bring back other charters. If you want to see if you're curious how the city of Mansfield does it, or you want to see how the city of Fort Worth does it, we're happy to do that. We'll pull that for you and let you look at how other cities do it, and kind of give you an idea on things. We're here to serve you. We work for you, so whatever it is you need, let us know, and we'll be happy to do that. What we'll do is we're going to try to break the charter up into 4 different sections and attack it kind of sections at a time. So that way we're not reviewing the whole thing all at once and we're jumping all over the place. So our first step is we'd like to review Articles 1 through 4, which in the charter, if you look at the table of contents, it's this first page here. That talks about the form of government and boundaries, rights and powers of the city council, and then municipal election. So essentially, it's the first 10 pages of the charter is what we're gonna try to start with. We are on a little bit of a time crunch. In order to get this language in for the May election, we need to really have everything wrapped up and done around the end of January, beginning of February, so that we can have everything submitted. So that means that we probably need to try to target meetings twice a month. And I wanted to find out from everybody, would that be acceptable to you guys? And are Mondays at 10 a.m. good for you? Is there another time as a group that maybe be more ideal? I know Sophia couldn't be here today. Was that just a one-time thing,
She
or?
already had an appointment already
Oh,
there.
so other meetings she would likely be able to make?
She said, yeah.
So really want to nail down a good time, because your involvement here and your appointment on this commission is important. We don't want to pick the time and then exclude somebody because they've got other regular commitments. So we really wanted to find out from the commissioners, what time is best for everybody, and we'll adhere to your time.
I'm open just about any time.
And I have a preference, but that's just being my preference, I would go to the
Preference
majority.
is
My
what we should
preference-
go.
Yeah, my preference would be in the evening, that way we won't be rushed, I think throughout the morning. I have grandparent duties, I'm a retiree, but I assist with grandparent duties. Evenings would work best for me, but I can be flexible if the majority says morning, but my preference is evenings. That's just
What time evenings are you in?
5:30, 6 o'clock.
And later than earlier, because people have to have dinner.
If it's 6:30,
Yeah, 6:30,
I'm flexible in
yeah,
the
yeah,
evenings,
6:30
mornings
something
is
like
not
that.
conducive
I
for
mean,
me.
and if you're gonna be traveling back and forth, when you go back to work,
Yeah,
what kind of hours would you be able to be, when would you?
well, my hours would be 7 to 3:30, but like I was saying earlier, the quickest I could get here would be about 4:15, 4:30, cause like I'm driving from Hearst to here, you never know what's gonna happen.
Don't ever have any idea.
So,
Not good.
yeah, terrible, so I'm not looking
So
forward
I
to
guess a
that.
6 or 6:30 meeting.
I think 6:30 is a good time for a meeting.
That's fine
Yeah.
with me.
I mean, I cook dinner every day, or nearly every day, because my son lives with me, and, that's just a personal thing, but, I don't know about the rest of y'all, we'll get to know one another a lot better.
I'm open, 6:30 is fine with me.
That way, you wouldn't have to worry about rushing if something happened,
Right.
yeah,
So chair lady,
okay.
what's the,
Do we need to just?
We don't need to actually take a vote.
Yeah, just a consensus of, yeah.
Yeah, just a consensus of when would be best. Is there a day of the week that's better?
Mondays are good.
Okay.
Nobody does anything on Monday. And no organization has a meeting on Monday.
I don't have organization, but I do have church, I
Yeah,
have church
I mean,
meetings on Monday.
yeah.
That's like the second, fourth Monday.
So
So we'll be,
what, the first and the third Monday of the month, or does it matter?
Completely up to you guys. You determine the meeting dates and times, so.
I'm going with the consensus.
Let's look, kind of look at the calendar.
First and third meetings would be good, probably for staff, just because that would help us stay on target, because we already know that we have council meetings the first and third Tuesday. So we'll know that, hey, we've got back-to-back meetings Monday and Tuesday night. I don't think that would be a big deal for
You think
us.
So that was gonna be my suggestion, first and third.
Of course, you leave it up to staff, we're gonna tell you 10 a.m. is perfect, but you obviously choose the dates and times.
Yeah, because that's after hours really for you guys.
We're here for you, so you choose the meeting times, we're used to it.
Well, he wouldn't be able to come once he goes back to work.
Sure.
Yeah. So,
So first and third?
first and third.
Okay. So that would put our next meeting on October 21st at 6:30.
And I will be out of town that.
See, already.
Already.
That's okay. Our meetings are always recorded and they're always put on YouTube. We're big on government transparency and making sure it's accessible, so we can always send you the meeting link as well, so you can catch up on anything that we've discussed. And then, of course, we won't be taking any official action until we're done really discussing and reviewing everything. You would provide your inputted feedback. We would get consensus from you on propositions throughout the process. The attorney would actually draft the proposition language, the battle language. Once that's drafted, then you would review everything in its entirety and decide at that point to vote on what to recommend and what not to recommend.
You said the meeting would be the 21st.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
And so let me ask this, is there anything in anybody's mind that immediately stands out in the charter that you're serving on this commission that you know that there's a big change you want us to go ahead and start researching or preparing for you? Okay. And you may not have anything until you kind of read through the charter and think, well, let me see about this, let me see about that. But, the sooner that, because we want to make sure the research we do for you is thorough. We want to provide you as factual information as possible. And so the earlier we know, the better our research will be, of course.
Can we share our names and our phone numbers, our contact information with one another so that,
Absolutely. Let me educate you a little bit on Open Meetings Act though. No problem with you guys communicating together. Sorry. Oh, that was you this time. Both of us go on. There are 7 members of this commission. So 4 members would make a quorum. 4 members cannot discuss something outside of a meeting. Otherwise, it would create what's called a walking quorum, and we would violate the Open Meetings Act. So if 2 of you wanted to discuss something, share ideas back and forth, or even 3 of you wanted to discuss something separately and share ideas back and forth, that's perfectly acceptable. But if a 4th person gets involved in that conversation, it violates Open Meetings Act, and we got to make sure we're very careful about that. That includes emails, text messages. And I'm just going to throw out an example, but chairperson, if you were to text 4 different members, even separately, and ask them all 4 the same question, that would constitute a violation of the Open Meetings Act. So we just got to be very careful on how you communicate together, and try to make sure it's all about government transparency. Try to keep those conversations here as much as possible rather than outside, just so we don't violate it.
Yeah, and not discuss all this with every neighbor in your neighborhood. Right, yeah.
But as far as sharing information, and you can talk as a group about anything you want. If you want to talk about the barbecue going on in your neighborhood, you can talk about those things. That's not a problem. It's just anything related to city business and the purpose of this Charter Review Commission. Just make sure it's not discussed separately outside the meeting with the quorum, so we don't violate the Open Meetings Act.
I was just thinking about reminders of meetings and things like that.
And that's perfectly acceptable.
Yeah, but not for any other reason, not for us to regress or.
Sure, no, absolutely.
Discuss.
Or if for some reason I wasn't gonna be able to be here, something came up, who would I contact?
Absolutely. Do you have everybody's contact information?
I do.
Would it be better if Mindy was to just kind of send it out to everybody? Would that be best?
Yeah,
Okay.
that'd be great. Thank you, Minnie.
Do you guys have emails? I know I have one email. I think it's just Sophia's email, to be honest. I can certainly email that out to anybody that would be easy for, or.
Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah, for
I'll
everybody.
do it after the meeting.
Okay, good for me. Sound good.
I thought I did, and It's not on my phone anymore, so I don't know where it went.
To the cloud, I guess.
I can text the information to you if you would like.
Yeah, that'd be fine.
Okay.
Actually, I can get on it. It's been a week, and I just noticed it today, that it wasn't even on my phone. And I did get on it on the computer, and they had 177 emails, and I deleted 177. They were all really important. Just, but I don't know what happened. In fact, I'm planning on going to AT&T, try to find out what the deal is. 'Cause,
I think they have lines up there on it.
well,
What do you think?
Well, we can print it too, so we can print it and have it at the next meeting, so everybody's got each other's phone number and everything. And we'll make sure to send reminders too. We don't want anybody to miss a meeting. Anybody have any questions, any concerns?
I think we'll be good. Our meeting dates, first and the third is gonna be good for the holidays. It won't complicate Christmas, like for Thanksgiving or anything like that, so that's a good thing. And, January 6th is the first Monday, so it won't mess up with New Year's, things like that, you know, okay. Yeah. Hopefully we'll be finished with the main part of our business by then.
I think so. You know, we'll certainly, I think at that point, we'll be kind of down to the nitty gritty, little fine details of propositions. I don't anticipate, it didn't sound like, there were many, if any, staff recommended changes. I think the attorney has one technical amendment, that she's identified so far that she's gonna propose. It didn't sound like any of the council members had anything that really stuck out to them, so this may be a pretty basic charter review. Which, you know, when you do them more frequently than 10 or 15 years, it tends to make it a little bit of an easier process. The last charter review commission, it had been, I think, 8 or 9 years since the last amendment, so there were definitely some changes needed. One of the big things that always comes up, it seems like in every charter review commission, is going to be compensation for mayor and council. And whether or not, just something to think about, but whether or not inflationary times have affected that, and should we consider increasing that or not. Certainly that's up to you, as members of the commission, on what to recommend to the others.
Also, doesn't it have something to do with our budget, the city budget?
It does, but I mean, I'll be frank with you. I mean, when we talk about, we have a $12 million operating budget for the city with all funds. You know, increasing that a little bit for inflationary is not going to break a budget. So that, I don't think budgetary concern, I mean, unless you're looking to go, you know, extreme amounts. I mean, if we were looking to compensate them kind of full-time salary level, that might be, but if we're talking about just low levels of compensation for their time, in line somewhat close to where they're at now, I don't think that will provide any budgetary concerns at all. We can certainly deal with that. The city council budget historically comes in under budget regardless, so we actually have pretty good performance with the city council budget.
Who is the other member of this committee?
I'm sorry?
Sophia Perkins.
Sophia Perkins. Okay.
I'll be updating her with the meeting today,
Okay.
the information.
Okay. Yeah. Sounds good.
Any other questions? Anybody feel good? I'll have some coffee next time, y'all. I feel like we're out of energy already. We haven't even got started. Now, this would be a good time. I want everybody to be relaxed. I want everybody to just speak your mind. That's really the whole purpose, and that's why the council appointed you to be here, is because they want citizen input. They want you guys to make the recommendations of what you think, which I think is a very smart move on the council, rather than the council trying to make decisions on how government should work. I think having citizen input and putting that together is very, very wise of them. So I think it's good. All right. Madam Chair, if nobody else has any other questions, we don't have anything for executive session tonight, so it's up to you if you would like to adjourn.
I just want to make sure that we're all on the same page. that we're gonna review the first, article before we come back to our next meeting?
Should be the first 4 articles.
Okay.
So the first 10 pages of the chart.
Okay. Okay,
So articles 1 through 4.
okay.
And then feel free to highlight and write and
Yeah,
on the charter, make notes.
if it doesn't make sense, let's figure out why and, you know, we're not all municipal people. We don't have, our government, city government necessarily works on a day-to-day basis. So anyway, yeah.
And that's what we're here for, is to help in any way, shape, or form. So if you're reviewing this, if you have any questions along the way that you want answered before the next meeting, please reach out to Mindy or I, and we'll be happy to get your questions answered.
Does anybody have anything that they wanna add, or, you know, do they have any questions about anything, or, you know, concerns?
I don't know enough yet to ask
Yeah.
questions.
I know. We gotta do our homework first,
Yeah.
right? Okay. I guess we can adjourn then.
Sounds
If
good.
everybody's- if it's okay with everyone.
Sounds good. Thank y'all so much